And the same ambassador, PR, who is now working for the United Nations system, went across to New York as part of his duties and gave the same message, went into our Perm Rep's office, had a chat and said, look, this is the situation in Geneva. Don't expect our support next year. These are the realities unless you move. So the message came from three capitals, Paris, Geneva, New York, and they were ignored. And 6 months later, we lost the Indian support for the first time. The West knew that this rift was taking place. That's when they moved. And there are many, India is what is known as a swing state, if you're talking in American election terms. People look at India, if India goes this way, many third world countries go that way. Not because of the Americans. The Brazilians, the Uruguayans, they don't care what the Americans say. These are very independent left of center governments. They're both led by former urban guerrillas. So contrary to what the Minister of Foreign Affairs says, it's not what the Americans say that counts. What India says counts. And we got into this situation in the 1980s in Geneva when India was on the other side. So we should have known that this was the crucial relationship to manage. The moment the Indians step aside, we are wide open. That's what has happened to us. We had plenty of lead time, plenty of warning, but we didn't read the writing on the wall, which was written in kind of day-glow orange spray paint. And that's why we are facing a very serious situation with the third resolution in Geneva. Not in 2 months. I don't think we've got 2 months. I think it's about 6 weeks from now.
When the council sessions begin?
Sessions begin early March. The vote is supposed to be late March.
Late March. Yeah, so just under 2 months.
Under 2 months. Under 2 months.
Dr. Jayatilleka, now there's been a lot of rumors. The rumor mill has been spinning with what the actual content of this resolution will be. Will it call for an international inquiry? Will it actually impose an international inquiry? Any thoughts on what might actually be the content of this resolution?
Nadeem, one issue has to be clarified here. I think the government doesn't have a clear view on how the UN works. I say this because I read a piece allegedly by an academic whom I've never heard of in the state-run Daily News, which said that any international commission of inquiry requires Security Council approval to be set up. Now that is absolute nonsense. As the former ambassador of China to Sri Lanka in 1978-81, Ambassador Shah Zhu Kang, who went on to be China's permanent representative in Geneva and then in New York, and was the Under-Secretary General of the United Nations, one step down from Ban Ki-moon, told me very clearly, he said, a UN mandate can be obtained only from 3 places. One is the Security Council, and the West didn't try that because of the Russian and Chinese vetoes. The second is the General Assembly, and this was in 2009. The third world still has a majority, and Sri Lanka was safe. And the third was Geneva, where there is no veto. So a resolution in Geneva would have given a UN mandate to stop the war. He was talking about the effort in March 2009 to stop the war, which we stopped. And he said, Ambassador, you gave a negative mandate with your victorious resolution. But he said, these are the 3 places you can get a UN mandate from, and if you get it from any one of these places, it's a UN mandate. Now, anyone who knows the history of the UN Human Rights Council would know that it was set up precisely for the purpose of acting as a parliament for human rights globally. It is the place for human rights. It's a specialized. There's a human rights a committee which meets in the General Assembly once a year in New York. But Geneva is the place. That's why they tried to come through Geneva in 2009. Now, there have been international commissions set up on many country situations in Geneva, including one on Israel, the famous Goldstone Commission, but the Israelis were able to stop that because, frankly, Justice Goldstone was Jewish. and they were able to bring pressure through his family, because he went for the bar mitzvah of his niece, and there was community pressure, and then he recanted from the report. So even Israel had to face a commission of inquiry set up in Geneva by the UN Human Rights Council. We aren't Israel. They can set up. There have been commissions set up on Sudan, on Libya. It went to New York after Geneva, from Geneva, the Libya resolution. And we know how that wound up. It doesn't have to go to New York. It can be taken to New York. It need not come up before the Security Council. A report can be sent to the office of the Secretary General. Now, what happened to the famous Security Council when the Darusman report came out? Frankly, when the Indians intervened in Sri Lanka's airspace in 1987, was it via the UN Security Council? No, it wasn't. It was because a climate had been created which enabled it to be done. And there was nothing we could do about it. Sri Lanka under Jayatilleka canvassed the Security Council members for some word of criticism of India after this blatant intrusion into Sri Lanka's airspace by military aircraft. Nobody was willing to say a word, not even the Russians, not even the Chinese. So this is a myth. You don't need to go to the Security Council to set up an international inquiry either in the form of a UN special rapporteur, or in the form of an independent expert, or in the form of a commission of inquiry, COI. Any one of those three things can be done in Geneva if we lose the vote.
Which one of those things do you think we will be facing in the event that we lose the vote, in the very probable event that we lose the vote?
Well, I think the Americans and the British still haven't figured out which can get the most number of votes. They'll go for something which can get the most number of votes. So I can't really place my bets. I am hoping, any one of those is bad news, okay? But I'm hoping that it won't be a formal commission of inquiry, but even a UN special rapporteur is very bad, because that they'll never get off your back if there's a UN special rapporteur. You can say, look, the doors are closed, you ain't coming here, but that's not going to help. The special rapporteur will do his or her job. So if I had to bet, I would say right now it looks more likely to be a UN special rapporteur or an independent expert. But it could even be a fully fledged commission of inquiry. That's, of the three, that's marginally worse. And all three options are bad.